biking ladies, what is up? Hope all of y'all are having a great Tuesday, great week so far. Tonight we are going to be talking about how to keep weight in our feet and be light on our hands. So light hands, heavy feet. I'm super jazzed about this. There's been a lot of ladies asking about this in the group, and it honestly can be kind of frustrating if you don't understand what you need to be doing or even how to make this happen. It's something that we learn in clinics that people talk about. Another thing is just like, I feel like you're just doing that lovely death grip on the bike. A lot of these things can play into different faceted things. Tonight we're going to be talking mostly about our core strength, and we're going to kind of go over how it plays a role on our bike. So I got my Specialized Stump Jumper here, and we're going to talk about posture. We're going to be talking about how we maintain that posture and why it's important on the bike, and then kind of how to apply it to the trail and get you out there and get you feeling better. Just for people that are on here live, I'd love to know that you're here hanging out with me. If you can just say hi, and if you are catching the replay, I'd love to know that you stopped by. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, hi! Hope that you are enjoying this a couple months later or whenever it gets posted there. Whenever I get around to that part of it. So, why is this actually important? Why do we need this? Why is it important to keep weight on our feet and to have not super gripped, not super pressured on our hands? It's one of those things when you look at the bike. So as we look at the bike, our main center of weight needs to be over these pedals. Yes, we need to make sure that our front wheel doesn't slide out from us. That's why we're not on the bike and being like this, because now we're actually lifting the front wheel up off of it. And that also can mean that we're pulling on our hands versus staying kind of balanced on them. We also want to make sure that as we just kind of drop down, we're evenly weighting through both the front fork and the back fork if you're full suspension, or that you just have weight on the front wheel and the back wheel in this position that we're in. It's also important for keeping traction. Balance and control on the bike is a lot about traction. Can you climb and keep your rear wheel from spinning out from underneath of you? Yes, gearing has a play in that. If you're in too easy of a gear, it'll spin out. If you're in too hard of a gear, then you're going to be like, I can't go anymore. It's going to be too hard. And so balancing that gear out is important too, but we need to make sure we keep traction on that rear wheel. It needs to make sure we keep spinning through it and that we're not just pushing or pulling on the bars to try to gain that. Also, if we're pulling on the bars, we might be moving our front wheel back and forth. In the Body to Bike challenge I had in the Ride Life team that happened, I guess this is week 3, so it's still happening in there. We talked last week about our climbing position and making sure that we're not pulling on the bars and that we're making that power come from here to drive our legs and the rest of our machine that we have. And so all of these things come back to making sure we're driving through our feet, through our pedals, and we're not pulling or gripping or pushing on our bars through here. And a lot of times we notice it when we're on more steep climbs. I don't know if you notice it when you're on more steep climbs. Chime in if you do. Or we notice it when we are going through more downhill sections, that we are going through some more technical terrain and that we almost feel like we need a little bit of extra balance and support to make it through some of that technical terrain, or we could be fearful about it. Let me know if you've experienced any of those, that you just feel like you need a little bit more control for the bike. That all of those things encompass part of our posture on it. And so the posture that we want to have as we're out of the saddle is more of this hip hinge position. I'm over top of the front bars, especially on flat ground through here. I'm weighted in through my feet. I don't feel the need to have my hands on the bars for it. I can feel myself weighted in through the pedals. Also, if I'm sitting down on here, same basic idea is that my core is controlling what happens as I'm moving on top of the bars to make sure that my front wheel doesn't lift up, and to also make sure I'm driving through my pedals. This is where I'm gaining my power from for my legs. It's also where I'm gaining my trunk support for. And so as I lean forward more, I automatically want to put more weight on this front leg. It's automatically going to give me more power to go through that. I don't want to collapse as I'm into it through here. I also don't want to hold myself up as I'm riding through my arms. I want to be pushing through there. I want to be able to hold this position and feel good. So how do you know if you need more core support through this? How do you know if core strength is one of these things that you need more of? A lot of times it's just getting into this deadlift position. Okay, that's what a lot of this is. Does it feel cozy and comfortable? Can you hang out there for a long time? What happens if you grab some weight? Still feel good? Or do you feel like you want to kind of raise up here, you want to crunch over through here, or your back starts to get tired? Do you feel yourself loading in your glutes? Do you want to bend at your knees to give you support? Would you rather be here through it versus here? All of these things are tests to see, do you need more strength in this area to be able to achieve what you want to do on the bike? Because if you don't have the strength here, then trying to just do on the bike stuff is not going to help you. You need to do some extra stuff off the bike to help you for on the bike. Now, I'm going to be talking later of how to apply this to the trail, but knowing what you need to do and how to be an adjunct to that is so critical for this. Diane, let me look back and see who commented on it. It says that she feels it. Diane says, because my low back is trying to do the job and it hurts. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what happens to a lot of us. It's what used to happen to me too, is that I used to get in this position and I'd feel that stress through here because I wasn't using my core as a cylinder. I was driving more so with my low back and not able to control and help with my pelvis, with my abdominal region. I wasn't using all of myself here. And it made me look a little different because I got a little belly right now. But it's that, look at that sag of that back. It should feel good and should feel comfortable here. It's one of the biggest cues that you need more core strength to do this, and that you need specific core strength that's helping you with that cylinder shape. That's helping you with that trunk stability for that. It's how we do most of our lower body stuff. Different squats, different lunges, different deadlifts. That's why they're so important for us, is because it helps us to keep our feet more planted. If you find your feet bouncing up off the ground, that's what keeps it planted on there. If you find yourself trying to pull or push from here, it means that you're not gaining that support from your body. You're trying to gain it from the bike. Unfortunately, the front of the bike moves and wiggles. And so it's not going to give you as much support as you want, and it's going to equal that you're going to be maneuvering your bike into places that you don't necessarily want to go. Or it's going to make you feel off balanced, out of control. Like the bike is doing most of the thing and you're just along for the ride. It's taking you for a ride. It's not a very fun experience for that. Experience that I know about. And so that's why a lot of these things help so much, is understanding that. So first step for bringing this to the trail. 1, realize if you need extra stuff. Realize if you need more core support. Start doing it. Okay? Then you'll start understanding that positioning. For the body to bike challenge that went on in the team, I actually had them videotape themselves with doing some of these hip hinge stuff for downhill, for uphill, and now for side-to-side stability. And so they're learning what is their body actually doing on the bike, and how can they play that to their advantage or their disadvantage? How can they learn from it? Because if we don't know what we're doing on the bike, we don't know what our position is on the bike, then we can't necessarily change it. It's called motor learning. It's a knowledge of results and knowledge of performance. We do much better if we feel what's happening in our body. We feel what's going on. We see what happened in it. So that's a knowledge of results. And then we can change how we feel about it later. It has to be an easy enough thing, an easy enough trail, an easy enough task for you to be able to apply it again and change how you were moving. And so to best apply this to the trail is to do it on easier sections. To not push it to the hardest thing that you always have trouble with doing. Practice it on the easier things. Are you actually doing it right on the easier bits? You just don't feel it as much because it's not as extreme. It's not as front and foremost because you don't feel all those extra bits. It's more like 20% of what you feel instead of 80% what you feel whenever you're doing more of the technical sections. Those are the times that you want to focus in on it. And then also learning the movement patterns. Can you hip hinge? Can you do that and use your upper body separately? Are you doing upright? Are you doing some rows while you're in this position? Can you do that? Do you understand how to use your shoulder blades to keep your chest open? All of these things, and are you loading that correctly? Or are you trying to achieve this and you're actually stressing your body more? Just like Diane talked about, that if she gets in that hip hinge position, she actually feels it in her low back. Well, that's not going to make you want to do this more. That's going to make you be like, I don't know about that. It doesn't feel so good. It's a sign that you need more strength to be able to perform the task. Biking is hard. Biking is physical. And it's not just endurance physical, especially for us ladies. It's being able to control our body, to control the bike, to move it around and have that finesse, have that stability with it. That's the key parts. So that's part of why this is so important. Kay says, how do we build core strength? Specific examples that you would recommend? Yeah, anything that involves a hip hinge with rotation. So even just being on your knees. I don't know if you can still see me down here. Being on your knees, having a weight that goes outside to side, doing a different exercise on your back that work on lower versus upper, and that stability for lower versus upper. Making sure that you're actually, whenever you're doing core exercises, that you feel it in your core, because there's been so many ladies that have started my Core Crushers program that they don't know that they weren't using their core, and never they actually were using more of their hip flexors, using more of their back, a lot of these things. These are so important for understanding of how you're actually engaging here, your body control for it, and then you lay strength on top of it. That's what's important with core exercises. So leg reach outs are great. All of these things are what's combined in the Ride Life team. That's my monthly fitness program that gives you all these guidances and starts you at your right strength level. It's all on the Ride Life team for giving you that program. It's $25 a month, so it's not extreme. But bent over rows, bent over bringing those arms to the side, that all works your core as well as your upper body. It's not specific core exercises, but you still need that endurance there. That's so important for it, and why those are in the Ride Life team, because you have to have that stability and endurance for that. Steffi says, find myself fixing my hinge, engaging my core more. Then seconds later, I'm back to bad habits, constantly correcting but building muscle memory still. That's right. This is why I harp at that we just need to ride more. Yeah, to get better on your bike, you just got to ride more. You just got to get on the trail more. Like, yeah, that's to a certain extent, getting out there on the trail and riding will help you. But vast majority of women that I've seen that come in to see me in my clinic, that I see when I'm out there, we take our bad habits that we've had for years, and we overlay them to the bike. What if you just learned some hip hinges first and got that down pat? Then you could really up your game on the bike. You could really change how you ride and how you feel. And it's so much more fun. So much. And so whenever we just go out there and we just ride, we create bad habits. We create these things that we have to learn against. And we're reinforcing them as we do it, just like Steffi talked about. We have to learn motor patterning, motor learning, and then we apply, redirect, apply, redirect, apply, redirect. It's exhausting sometimes. And I know because I've been there. All these things, a lot of them I have experienced myself. I've had low back pain before. I've had neck pain before. I've had, like, they diagnosed me with chronic pain when I was 22 years old. Y'all. And now I don't have that. I have the ability to strengthen and to load myself properly, and then to overlay it into fun activities like biking, like kayaking, like stand-up paddling, all these things. So much so. Danielle Long says, sucking your core in is engaging your core, right? It is not. It is not. If I suck my core in, I'm not engaging my core. I'm not tightening up across it. I'm literally just moving my abdominal muscles. I'm literally moving my abdominal contents to the side, and I'm just sucking in with the use of my breath or with that. It should be a tightening across, and it should make me feel like a cylinder. It's like if somebody's going to punch you in your gut. You don't want to tighten and suck in your gut, do you? No. You want to make a wall. You don't want to push it out either. You just want to make it where it's firm. And so if somebody's going to punch you, you have force behind it where they're not going to hit any of these internal organs. You're strong through there. That's what so I have in the core crushers, the lower level of the core crushers and the pelvic floor module are included in the Ride Life team because they're so important for so many women, because so many women don't know how to use their core. We've just forgotten how to engage here, and we tend to suck in instead. There's also those little cues that I fight constantly. Let's just bring your belly button to your spine. No, let's give you a wall that makes you feel solid there. One of the things that is so helpful is understanding that wall, how to engage it, how to hold that isometric activation. So like showing you my bicep, that's my isometric activation. And then I have a concentric activation, which is where I'm actually curling. And so in this hip hinge, this is a concentric activation where I'm actually pelvic tilting. This is an isometric activation. Understanding those two, strengthening both of them is key and critical for your biking. That's where we understand how to move, support our low back on our hip hinge, is that we pelvic tilt till we find our good spot, and then we strengthen and load that for endurance and strength. That's the key parts of it. I'm glad you asked. Naomi, related but unrelated. I learned today that standing and walking with knees locked. Yep, that's not very good, my lady. Trying to relearn this. All new. It seems to have weak spots to work on. You've been moving this way your entire life. Unfortunately, we tend to stand, walk, move the easiest way possible, and it doesn't always end up the best for us. But we get the test done. If I get the test done, I use my low back. Still getting the test done, right? Not necessarily. Not always the best thing. Jen, she says, it drives me nuts when guys tell me, including my own, that I'm thinking too much when I'm riding. Ugh, it's so annoying. Sometimes we have to relearn some of these bad habits, Jen. And guys don't feel it as much because their core doesn't have to be near as strong as we do because we're wider here. Like, women were built with wider pelvises. We're built lower body down. And that usually means that We need a stronger core to maintain that, to get our glutes to work. We're also usually more going to be focused on our knees. When we jump, we tend to land knees moving instead of landing, moving more our hips. That's why we have so many more knee issues for women than we do for men. You know, both of those play into such a role. Like, you need programs that are designed for more of your body and what you need to strengthen, what needs love. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit like jazzed up, but it's so true. We need programming that's good for us. We need to know where we need to strengthen. We need all of these aspects of it, and to use our glutes better, to use our core better, to understand how to load and support our back as we're going so we can ride better and have more fun out there. All of those things. All right, ladies, I hope this helps you with how to stay more heavy on your feet so you can have a more balanced ride, so you can keep weight in the front of the back of your bike and also be able to withstand external forces side to side, front and back, with being in that position, that stable base. And where you're not pulling on your bars, you're gaining that confidence, not having other hand or neck issues through that, and that you're understanding what you need support in, how to bring it to the trail with understanding your strength. Do you need more strength here? And do you need to back it off on the trail, practice easier sections with this, and then build up from there? That's part of the key that's super important, is taking that step back, applying and videotaping yourself in it. All right, ladies, have a fantastic night. If you feel anybody that needs this video, just tag them in here. If you're watching on YouTube, I'd love if you subscribed, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Bye, y'all.